All right, should be good to go. Microphone, yeah, the microphone's reading. Actually have a good internet connection for now. So we will see how this goes. I had a long work week traveling, 5 days gone. So I thought I would just relax a little bit Saturday morning slash afternoon and work on what will be the spirit characters for Earthborne Rangers. I see a couple of people. Hopefully everything is looking good and coming through. Hey, Brian. Yes, it has been a long time. It was a very long tax season this year, but now I'm hopefully going to have more time to do game stuff. I actually have some videos recorded for 7th Citadel, but I wanted to get several of them recorded and edited so I could put them on a schedule to be uploaded. And then I want to get my Earthborne stuff back out and have a huge backlog of games and stuff to paint. Okay, so these are going to be, so there's an upcoming expansion for Earthborne Rangers, and there's some character cards that are like spirit animals for one of the new types of characters you can play. So I want to paint these kind of like in a spirit type, ghostly spirit looking. The art on all the cards isn't exactly the way that I'm painting them. They look a little more like full colored, but kind of see through a little bit, which is really cool. I'm trying to get a way to just like invoke the like spirit, like ghostly look. So I did one test animal. Sorry, this is going to shake for a second while I zoom in. This is like a test lion, and I don't know if the lighting is going to be too bright. It is kind of like drowning him out a little bit, and we've covered up some of the light. So just trying to get like a ghostly look, and I might go for more of the like blue and less of the white, but we'll see how the other ones come out. I think they'll look good, especially after the basing and stuff gets done on all of them, which I have started. So this one is a Sitka buck. It's in the like woods area. So there's going to be a lot of green terrain on the base of this one. And this is the Aatrox spirit. It's in the mountain region, so I wanted it to be on a lot of rocks. So it's just going to be a lot of mountainy like stuff. This one is going to be for the Lutrinol, which is next to the water. So this one's going to have water effects all on this side of the base. So it's going to look like a river on this side or a stream. And this rock's going to be sticking up out of the water. And I've already got the Lutrinol. Robinson Crusoe is good. Leviathan Wilds. Oh, Flame and Fang. Did that come already? I played Flame and Fang, the prototype, with the guys from One Stop at Gen Con last year. It was pretty fun. It wasn't quite done yet, but it was still pretty fun. I played it with Colin, and I think was Steve in that game. I think Steve might have been in that game, or it could have been Peter from One Stop who we were playing with. So you can kind of see like the level difference. There'll be water effect on this side of the base, and then I've already painted the Lutrinol, and I mounted it on a log because this log is going to be like over here. And then there'll be like some greenery, but then the biggest part of this base is the feature is going to be the water on this side. The one thing that I'm going to use for the Irex just came in the mail today, and they came pre-primed black. So we might start building up a base for the Irex. It's like a buzzard-like looking bird. So we got to get this thing primed, or at least painted mostly white, so that the ghost effect will show up correctly, and build a base for this one. So we might work on that while other stuff is drying. Hey, Chub Frog. Yeah, I think it's gonna look cool, especially with the water. Assuming the water effect comes out correctly. Probably won't be able to do that on stream just because it takes forever to dry, and you have to build up like an edging around it with plastic so that it doesn't. Depending upon the type of resin you're using for the water effect, but I'll have to build up like a plastic wall that I can remove easily so that it doesn't run off of the edge. But I think it'll give the impression of the right type of animal for the Lutrinol, the Atrox, and the Sitka, just because of the setting that'll be created with the basing. But first things first, I need to prime all of this basing stuff black. Let it dry real quick. Because all of it's been covered in sand, and or this bark has been covered in Mod Podge. The water will be clear. Yeah, the resin will be clear. So as we paint it, we'll paint. It'll have a tiny, tiny little tint of blue. So I'll take this really light blue contrast color, and just put the smallest little tiny drop in the resin. So it'll have a hint of blue, and then depending upon how wide of a thing there is here, there's a thing you can do with Mod Podge that makes it look like you're creating like current or ripples. So I might make a little bit, if I can. We'll see how it comes out. Make a little bit of a current marks going around the rock, and then you dry brush the top of that with a little bit of white, just so it looks like moving water. But the resin should be clear. So the way that we paint the stuff on the bottom will have a big impact on how the water comes out. So we'll make it a little bit darker the farther away from the shore it is, and we'll put a couple little spots of some green, either like maybe this orc flesh contrast color, or like green camo, or some kind of little green, so that it looks like there's some moss or something growing just in a couple spots. Yeah, we'll see. We'll see how the Mod Podge dries on top of it. But that's going to take that one's not probably going to lend itself very well to being something that gets streamed, because it's something that you do for like 2 minutes and then it has to dry for hours. So that would be a very fast and boring stream. All right, we're going to do some brush on priming real quick. Oops. Do I have a bigger brush over here? No, I don't. So I'm just going to be willy-nilly while I'm not next to the Mini with the primer. Well, I really need a bigger brush, or this is going to take forever. That's one good thing, being surrounded by years of built-up supplies. If you need something, just look around. It's probably there. I did a custom size for these bases. So these bases are cut out of real thin plywood, I guess it is. It's not balsa wood, it's heavier than that. And I have like a round hole cutter for my drill. The bases that I had were just a little bit too small for the size of these minis. Now I gotta be careful. I guess I can always prime the Sitka buck. I mean, priming is not the most exciting content either, but this stuff dries so fast. We'll be into painting here in no time. And this is supposed to be more just like a chill stream today. I went through that primer that I poured out very fast. I might have to get the big bottle out. I don't think I'm too worried about full complete coverage. Except for the rim. Because there's going to be a lot more paint and stuff going down. And I usually do double layers of glue for the sand. So I've never had any issues with like my basing material coming off of the base. Takes a little bit more time, it's an extra step, but I'd rather do the extra step in the beginning than have a big chunk of my basing material come off of a miniature like a year from now or something. At any point, really, but it'd be worse later. All right, we'll let that one dry. Usually when the primer dries, it's easier to see spots that you missed. Now, you definitely don't want to use a good brush when you're jamming paint into crevices like this. This is a brush that's from like a $1 or $2 pack from an art store that comes with like 10 or 15 real cheap brushes in it. When you use the bark like this, you got to use Mod Podge or some other kind of thing on it to seal it. Just so you're not potentially exposing it to absorbing moisture in the future. I might have just painted one of his feet. I might have to go back over that with white. See how this molded green stuff comes out too? I had to do some green stuffing to attach green stuff on the top of this to attach him. Because he came on a big metal base. So it took me about half an hour and I had to use some big clippers to separate the miniature from that base. Because it wasn't going to look right trying to attach that metal base to anything. It's just too much. But then I used a different piece of bark and I like pressed into the green stuff to hopefully try to give it some more like natural looking contours also. I'm gonna have to use a smaller brush to get into some of those spots. Yeah, I think it looks pretty good now that the primer's on it. In the end, we hopefully won't be able to tell at all that that's not actually part of the bark, part of the what's supposed to be the rock. Okay, let's go around his feet. I'm going to come back and paint the side of that foot. It's important to prime them white for the effect that I'm trying to do on them. Gotta hit these spots that the big brush couldn't get into. In the front here. I'm not going to go back and fix the feet just yet because there's going to be a lot more painting and dry brushing and stuff of those rocks. So I'm willing to bet that there's going to be a lot more spots that need to be fixed back up before we even think about working on the spirit effect. It's also possible that the wash later will darken some of that in there. I don't know if I'm going to be able to get all the way in there. And no one's going to even be able to see in there. All right. Little tiny spot right there. All right, we'll let it dry and then come back and look at it again. All right, this one we're just going to go to town with the big brush. I'm using so there's a technical paint. So to answer Chub Frog's question about the kind of spirit effect, there's this technical paint from Citadel. I don't even know what that first word is. Nihilika? Nihilika? I'm sure it's some kind of Warhammer word that I just don't know. Something oxide. It's like a bluish green color. So that will go over the white, and then you go back and dry brush on top of that. So it'll look a little bit like this. This was just my test model. I don't know if I'm going to go darker with the blue and less white, but this was just a test to play around and see what the color looked like. But I think it'll look nice when the basing is all done. So you'll have, like for the Sitka buck, there'll be a lot of green grass around it. So this should really stand out with that that basing and stuff around it. Oh, I'm glad you were able to catch the live stream. I do plan on making more videos. the I work in the tax business. I run a tax company, so between like we even start getting ready in December. So between like December and we have to finish everything up. It doesn't even end April 15th. So uh, I'm really super busy at work, like between December and May. But during the summer and the fall, I have a lot more time to work on that stuff. So it is time to work on more videos. Oh, thanks for the comment about the production. Yeah, I try. I don't spend a whole lot of time doing editing and stuff. Like my friends Barrett and Colin on Meet Me at the Table, they spend a lot more time on their recorded stuff, um, making sure to note the errors and stuff that they make. But I just do mine live, honestly, just because of time. It's so much faster that way. I'm picking back up EBR for sure. I did not end up finishing it. I was right in the middle of EBR when I started getting busy at work. So EBR is definitely the next thing to hit the table. I have Seventh Citadel on the table right now, just because it came in the mail. And I have a special kind of place in my heart for that series because Seventh Continent was one of the first things I recorded for my channel. And it's actually the first game that was ever played on the game table that I built that I actually use for the recordings and stuff too. And I have some videos of that already recorded, but I want to get a couple more done, just so that I can post, so that I have a backlog of stuff that I can post in case I get busy with something else again. There's still some stuff going up on the channel. But when I clean Seventh Citadel up off of the gaming table, it should be Earthborne that's coming back out. And then I have some stuff for, I want to get back to Kingdom Death Monster, and then before the next wave of Aeon Trespass Odyssey comes, I need to play the other cycles of that as well. There are a couple other games that I started on the channel. Like one of them was, oh man, what is it called? Isofarian Guard. That one I'm waiting for the updated rulebook and material from the new Kickstarter to go through the story on that one. Since they're making changes to the gameplay, I just want to play it with the updated rules and stuff. So that one should be coming soon. That was a fast base to paint. It sounds like they're making really good progress on the expansions. I'm wondering if they'll be ready with the EBR stuff a little earlier. Juprog, you probably know or remember. Is it just play testing now, or are they still working on art? I can't remember from the last podcast. Or maybe they haven't finished Moments yet either. I think they said they were playtesting Moments, actually, now that if I actually think about it for a second. Is that what Maxine said? All right. That one looks good enough for priming. Get in there. Take the close to finalizing the files. Yeah. We'll see. Yeah, we'll see what the staffing levels at work and stuff are like. Maybe, hopefully next year won't be so busy, as busy as this year. Oh, that just might have to do. All right, I want to let those dry for a couple minutes. And I could start thinking about... Yeah, 8 more. I need 8 more. Eight more to get to 1,000. I enjoyed the first video on the Squire campaign, Bro, and it was it was funny how you pointed out that it was like this isn't the first time I've played this. It's taken several attempts. Yeah, I wonder. So Chub Frog is like the rules guru of Earthborne. So I think he's complimenting you, Bro, and saying that you're the rules guru of KDM. Are you gonna be at Gen Con again, Bra Mithra? I'm gonna be there all 4 days, so we should meet up at the booth again. Oh, I saw that they. Oh, I don't know if they're full or not. They put on the schedule that you can play in a campaign, like a weekend long campaign with other people. I guess maybe you get to play one lantern year or something. Is what it seems like might be the deal. That could be kind of fun. And some kind of mystery encounter. Can't remember what that email said now. All right, how am I going to do this where I can paint the iRix? Are they full already? Are they all full? Saturday, there's going to be a bunch of us just playing games at the Marriott, I think. Is it the Marriott? Whatever the big hotel at the end is that has the really big open gaming rooms. We're just going to post in there all day Saturday. I'm trying to figure out a way to use like poster tack or something. I might just have to do the painting of this guy in parts while I hold a different part. Where is... I gotta grab the white primer real quick. Oh, that'll be cool. So you're gonna be there all 4 days if you're gonna be running some games. You know what Adam needs to do is he needs to reach out to you and some of the other uh, guys you do videos with before they ship an expansion to the printer. Say, hey, you want to give a pass on this real quick and just let us know if there's any interactions that we haven't thought of? That would probably be smart. This doesn't look like it mixed very well, so I'm going to shake it. Then you won't have to ask taste questions after it comes out. You can just ask them before it comes out, and maybe they'll add some clarifications. That looks like it did absolutely nothing. All right. So I'm going to go over the black primer that came on this with some white primer. Yeah, this is not... Something's wrong with this primer. It shouldn't be milky white like that. It is supposed to be for the airbrush. I guess I could just use regular paint since it's already primed. I do want to start painting some of the dirt colors and stuff on these bases so that I can put the wash on it and it will have time to dry. This is just intended to be a real thin undercoat for the like ghostly spirit color. PAX Unplugged should be fun. That's the one that Earthborne's going to be at, if I recall correctly. Conventions all have their own, like, feeling, at least in my opinion. But to be fair, I haven't been to any of the other big ones like Origins or whatever, just going off of what other people say for those, but I've been to a lot of local conventions. Local conventions are definitely more like hang out and just play games than what I feel Gen Con is. I think the big attraction for a lot of people to like a Gen Con is the vendor hall. Or if a game you're really into has like tournaments and stuff. All right, I'm gonna have to let this sit and dry so I can do the other wing. I'm assuming that's Barrett, because now just when it says meet me at the table, I don't know if it's Barrett or Colin, or maybe it's both. Just talking about meeting up at Gen Con a couple minutes ago. which I can't wait for. A couple months away. What month is it? It's still May. We got June, July. Yeah, a couple months. I want this to be super thin so it doesn't fill in these details, but I also don't want it to be so thin that it's too dark with the black. Okay, you dry back there. Yeah, meeting people, hanging out at the hotel, uh, whatever day that was last year. I think it was Saturday. So many people, so many different people came by. We ate a bunch of pizza. Kanji had to stop some rando from eating our pizza, which was hilarious. Right when he was in the middle of playing Lorcana on Rob's stream from Rob's gaming table, this guy came up and tried to eat some of our pizza. And Kanji was on stream, and he just got up and he was like, "No, no." Were you there for that, Barrett? That was hilarious. I'm going to use earth color for the dirt, the start of the dirt. And I'll start with this one for that gigantic brush go. Yeah, I remember you were at the booth for a long time, taking a lot of pictures and talking to Adam. I don't think I got to the KDM booth until like the third day, second or third day. I remember whatever day it was you were there. Maybe it was Friday. And I'm glad they still had stuff to sell because they were selling, was it the new Echoes? New Echoes box there. And something else. The Lenore, was that sold there? Oh, I can't remember. My plan this year is to walk the hall like, because it's open from 10 to 4. So I'm leaving most of my schedule on Thursday just open for walking the hall. And then I have gonna play in some Star Wars Unlimited drafts and things on Thursday. No, not Thursday, on Friday. Saturday's almost completely open from 10 on, just so we can hang out at the hotel, play games, see what the epic game this year's going to be. There was an epic game of Nemesis last year that had a bunch of people rotating in and out because it went on for several hours. Even Brendan was his name's Brendan, right? From Open Owl Studios that make Stars of Icarios, Stone Saga, and Mythwind. He was there hanging out for a while. We were talking about their games. That was kind of fun. I've already resigned myself to the fact that I'm going to have to touch up the legs on these, so I'm being a little more willy-nilly with the big brush here. I'm going to try to get almost everything done, if not everything done, before I work on the spirit effect on the animals. And then the last thing will be putting on the plants and stuff on the bases. Because I don't want to get dry brushing on the greenery. Since there is going to be a wash that darkens up the bases, I'm not too worried about getting like ultimate maximum coverage where you just can't see any little black spots, because we're about to darken it up anyway. It adds shadows to those spots that are showing up as black. I keep putting just almost enough paint. Did you try the makeup brushes, Barrett? Hopefully they worked out. I saw the final product on your video for the those one bases that we were talking about on Discord. The name of the game was escaping me at the moment. What is the name of that game? Dawn of Madness? Darkness? What is it? Something like that. Or it's also highly possible that I'm way off. Okay, dirt done. Rocks next. I'm always afraid to go too dark with the rocks. I always try to brush it later. Just use this one. Get our texture back when we put the wash on it. It's going to take longer. I'm going to go to the smaller brush. I don't want to accidentally hit the dirt and have to go over it again. Being a little too liberal with the brush. One of the problems with these ones that have these crevices that you have to like jam paint into is it takes a while for it to dry. Dawn of Madness, there you go. Oh, the brushes, yes. I'm telling you, man, that's a good hack. Makeup brushes for dry brushing. I'm gonna definitely have to go over that foot again. That foot's almost entirely covered in not white paint. I don't even remember the Kickstarter for that game. Like, I guess we can't all be expected to remember all Kickstarters. Pretty sure I watched, I think you did a prototype play of it, though. A couple years ago. I need like a super skinny brush. Or I just don't worry about it. It's the shadows, right? It's down in there in the shadows. Some leftover black adds some depth. It's not the black parts that I'm worried about, though. It's like the ones that I couldn't even get the primer on in there. And I guess worry about's probably a little strong. I'm actually worried about it. No one's going to be picking it up and looking on the inside. Yeah, Zach's painting hacks. There's actually a really good. I don't think the makeup brushes, and the makeup brushes didn't come from this, but there's a really good painter. He's actually like a award-winning painter, like Golden Demons and stuff. Vince, and I always butcher his last name. Vince Venturillo, something like that. He has a series on his channel that he calls Hobby Cheats, where he takes a topic and talks a lot about it. But he's a really good painter. I'll save my hacks for Painting with Pals episodes, like when we did the basing one. That's good that they changed the game to make it better or more in line with what people thought they were. Thought the game should be. There is a very fine line to walk there between what the designer and the developer have in mind. And then also ultimately maybe the production company, because they're the one paying for it. In a typical game life cycle, I guess, not Kickstarter, because usually it's they get the money from the Kickstarter. It's not like there's a publisher up fronting the money to put the game out. I did a lot of play testing back in the day when I used to live in Southern California at Victory Point Games, which has since been sold to somebody else. But I got really friendly with the owner, and they had like open Saturday playtesting there, and it was right across from the law school that I went to. So I'd spend the mornings like in the library working on school stuff for the next week, and then spend the afternoons in there playtesting games with them. And it was usually a pretty small group of people, same people, and we'd actually end up like talking about changes to make to the games. And it's interesting to hear some of the fine lines that they would have to walk with, like the vision for the game and what they could actually do based on their production limitations. That's where Nemo's War, second edition, came out of. That's one of the ones that I actually have a playtest credit in. It's probably one of the most popular games. But then also Dawn of the Zed, second edition. It's also a slightly more known game. Saw a lot of prototypes in there too that actually went to other companies, like Heart Healthy Hospital. That was there for a long time. We played that a bunch, but then it ultimately went to a different company. Okay, so that paint has to dry for a little while before we can put a wash on it. You can still tell that it's wet. I mean, this one's going to be super easy. The bulk of this one's going to be the plants that go on the base. This one too actually is probably just going to be the wash. Maybe I'll put one little plant right here or something. Dry brush on the rocks after the wash and probably the dirt. And then the spirit effect on the Aatrox. Okay, let me think about... So this guy is going to be flying. So what do I want the base to look like? The Irixes are also a mountain path card. Chubb, if you're still here, it's been so long. Fact check me on that one. I'm pretty sure it's a mountain. I already have mountain pretty done with the Aatrox there, so maybe I do like a small rock. You also kind of want to hide the stick a little bit. How about the Irex? Is the Irex mountain also? This might be too big. A little one. Live base planning. Ooh, I could do those two like that and then have the stick coming up from back there. That's what it's going to be. All right. I like to secure my bark as well as I can, so I think I'm going to put some paperclip in it. I'll drill a little hole. I did not mean for it to go all the way through. Super glue. Into the hole a little bit. Trim the paperclip. Super glue. Trim it. Now the fun part is trying to line up where to do the next one. Right there-ish. You don't have to paperclip or pin these. I'm just trying to do it for a little bit of added strength. little bit more stability. Cannot see where the hole is. There it is. All right. Let that dry. That one's going to need for lots of time. Got to add the sand and stuff to that. Still drying. Still drying. Got a little super glue on the front. That'll get painted over. I just don't want the sand to stick to it. Now, I do. Yeah, Luch Knolls Lakeshore. Put the super glue away. I was hoping to at least get to one. Spirit animal today. Or to put the effect on one of the animals. Which I could do while the wash is drying, I guess. It looks like there's still a little spot that isn't dry yet. Sorry, I missed it, Brian. You're probably gone already, but thanks for coming by. Grab a different brush over here. No. So I'll use this one. Oh, I probably should dry brush the base before I start on the spirit effect, I guess. This one might not take too long to dry because it doesn't have any like super deep crevices or anything. It's just the normal sandy base. with the amount of greenery that I'm planning on putting on this base, I don't even know if I need to dry brush it, actually. I was going to paint the middle of this water area darker. Shoot. That's all right. We'll still add the moss. We will dry brush the rock to get some more of the gray. Just want the recesses to have some shadow. Maybe I'll... This is what I'll do. I'm going to lay the wash on thicker over there where the water will be deeper. So it's a little darker out in the deeper water. Do the top of this one first before start getting into the parts where it might not be completely dry. Then we'll come back with the dry brush for sure, because you just want the crevices to be filled with this, not the flat parts. Why am I keep missing the paint in the pot? I think that came out with lots of nice texture, that green stuff on the top. I think pressing the bark down into it helped a lot. So we'll do that again in the future if I need to highly green stuff something to the base. Let's see a spot in there. All right. I think that's good enough for what we're doing here. Do I have any white that's still dry or wet? I do. Clean up the hooves a little. For a normal miniature, I wouldn't care about that because you would think the animal's walking through the dirt, the mud, whatever. It can be dirty. I'm not sure it's right for a spirit to have dirty feet. Okay, so I think we're going to go ahead and apply the spirit effect to this guy. Hopefully there's enough texture on this miniature. It's going to be a while for the other stuff to dry, the other miniatures. There will be some dry brushing of the bases, and after this color actually goes on too. Start in the face, spread it. It's going to look very greenish blue until the dry brush comes back over top of it. And plus, I'm still spreading it around a little bit. But this stuff kind of works like a wash or a contrast color or whatever. It will sink into the recesses some also. I don't just want it to be a white miniature. It's got to have some of this like eerie color effect. Got to kind of work fast so I don't leave any coffee staining marks, pulling it out where it's already starting to dry. I want it to settle into some of the fur texture too, so I don't want to pull all of it away, but I don't want it to be too thick either. This is kind of an experiment. I haven't done any ghost miniatures before, ghost effects on miniatures. It looks super blue on the camera. It doesn't look that colored in person. I don't know if it's this light. No. Ooh, that blew it out. It looks really blue on the camera, but the white is showing through more in person. But that's why I go back over it again with the dry brush. Okay, that should dry pretty quickly. We're going to do a large variety of different types of greenery on the base. Okay, it looks really green on the camera, greenish blue. It's kind of interesting. I don't know how to make it. You can kind of see some of the white. I think the light is just reflecting so much off of the white parts. That ground still has to dry. Getting the good darker effect on the deeper water with the more wash on that one. Kind of in a waiting game here now for that stuff to dry. I'm gonna put sand on the Irex's base real quick. If I could find something to put the glue on. I don't want to waste a whole cup for just one base. I'll just use Mod Podge. I gotta Mod Podge the rocks before the sand get all over it. Don't want Sam on the rim. Sam? Don't want sand on the rim. I gotta wipe the glue off. All right. Trusty old sand container. Now that's gotta dry. Guess I could try to paint the spirit effect on this iris. Because if it doesn't come out looking good, I'm going to have to come up with something else. Fortunately, the package that this came in came with two. So if I don't like the way it comes out, I can always work on the second one. It still looks very green. That stuff's already dry, so we're going to go in with the dry brush in a little bit. Trying to pull some of it off. I ended up getting a little bit too much in there. See if the dry brush will fix it later, though. Just gotta be patient, let it settle, because it should settle. Oh, darn it, my finger, I rubbed it a little too hard. All right, I gotta delicately hold it as little as possible. So now I'm drying the brush out, trying to pull some of this excess into where I want it. Okay, let that one dry. The base is not ready for its dry brush, but we will get the white out. Test it on my hand. The light is just really blowing the white out. Probably look best when I take the pictures when it's done, or maybe if I zoom out and change the lighting a little bit after I finish this dry brushing. But it already looks really different in person if I do that. And that helps a little bit for the camera. Still photos are probably going to be the best. I like the effect that it has right around the chest area. The deep parts are really the blue, green, and the highlighted, or the high parts are really, really white. So the rest of the basing is going to be what makes that piece come alive, I think. Still drying here. This is still drying. Not going to touch that yet. I might have to cull it while I let some stuff dry. Go see what my kids are doing. Clean up some brushes and stuff. I don't know if I'll have time to stream any more work on these, especially the water effect on this one. This one's just going to be painting the rim and getting the green, getting all the green down, including probably some grass. That one's going to be very foresty. No, they're still wet around the feet. I need to clean the feet up on this one before it gets painted. You can definitely see a difference between just the primed one, the spirit looking one. I don't know, maybe it could use more white. Oh, that's just the way that it looks on the camera though. It has a lot of white. A lot of white showing in person, more than what I can see on the camera. But we'll see. I can always do some more white on the top after, if I don't think it looks good enough after I get the basing and stuff on. If I want to see all of it all together. So, okay, I'm going to take off for now. Thanks to everyone who showed up and is still here. There could be another surprise stream sometime later after some stuff dries, and depending upon what the family's out there doing. So thanks again for coming, and I'll see you in the next one.